Hello out there. It's your friendly neighborhood Toronto Mike. And yesterday I broke my wrist. So I'm going to share the story. This is primarily so I don't cannibalize my conversation with Jim Van Horn this afternoon. So I'm going to do all this now separately and then I can allude to it in conversation. But here's what happened. Right off the top, if you can see this, this is my bike helmet. And I don't know if you can see that if I put it against. My bike helmet literally split in two yesterday. So here's what happened. It was about 4:30 p.m. yesterday, and I was doing a very short bike ride to pick up actually, I was picking up my son's T4 slip because I was going to get his taxes done, and he gets this GST rebate. So I had to pick up his T4 from Burger King. So short ride. I'm coming south on Royal York towards my home, and I'm biking in a bike lane on Royal York. Just no, not too fast. I never bike too fast. And there's no cars anywhere to be seen. It was actually a little bit spooky. Like there's no cars on Royal York at like rush hour on a Monday. It's like a movie. So I'm biking along. On the sidewalk to my right, there's a brother and sister. She looks like she's about 6 years old, and he looks like he's about 10. And they're each walking a dog. So I'm going south on Royal York. The young girl, her dog starts barking at me and makes a run, like actually gets onto Royal York. And I could see she's struggling to rein in this dog with the leash. And I can see the leash is fully extended and the dog is coming at me. And I don't know, in this split moment when I'm just biking south on Royal York towards Lakeshore, in this split moment, I think this dog is gonna like, I don't know, run into the spokes of my back tire. Like I do a quick jut left, to get away, and this triggers. This is bad. Don't do this. You're not supposed to do this when you bike. And I go over the handlebars and I do a double roll on Royal York. The second time my head hits the concrete is when I could hear the helmet split in half. Meanwhile, I'm experiencing a pain in my left wrist that actually has me feeling nauseous and like I'm seeing cloudy vision. Like, and I'm like, am I concussed? What's going on? I looked over this boy and girl, this brother and sister. They look like they look so traumatized. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They feel responsible for this big crash I did. Well, thankfully, no cars on the street. So no car is ever involved in this crash. In fact, I don't think anybody sees this crash, to be honest. But I look at the girl once I realize I can actually, like, I didn't know if anything was broken, but I stood up with my bike and I looked at the girl and I just said, it's not your fault. Because I felt like she was going to, carry this for a while. And I just said, it's not your fault. I said, I just need to walk this off. And then there's a side street, like going west. No sidewalks on this side street, but I sit on a curb and I collect myself and I'm just sort of sitting on this curb. My wrist feels like, I don't know if you've seen the pictures. I have pictures of, the bloodiness didn't hurt. It looked awful and it hurt like hell. And I'm thinking, there's a pandemic. There's a COVID-19 pandemic. Like, this is not the time to go to emergency. So in my mind, I'm thinking, let me just get home. I had like 5K to go still. Let me get home and then ice it. And hopefully it's a bad sprain and I can just wait this out and it gets better. So I get home. I show my wife and she looks at it and I said, I'm not going to a hospital during a pandemic. Like, this is not going to happen. So I said, can you help me get some ice on this? And she, looks bad. The kids can't believe it because you can't see it in the cast now, but this part is all scraped. And then it looks all swollen and like bumpy and abnormal. And I can't use my left hand. So She helps me ice it, and then I tell her my plan to avoid the hospital because of the pandemic. I mean, I'm trying to avoid no frills. Like the last thing I'm going to do is go to emergency. But she does some magic on her phone, which results in a doctor being on a virtual consultation. I have a virtual appointment with a real doctor in a matter of minutes. This thing's amazing. Apparently, this was arranged through some place called the Citrus Medical Center or something, which is like Royal York and Queensway. So shout out to those guys, because I had a real doctor face to face looking at my hand through the webcam and talking to me and asking me questions like right away, which was amazing. That doctor said, I told the doctor I didn't want to go to a hospital during the pandemic. And that doctor said, you have to go because I think it's broken. And if it doesn't set right, you can have a deformed hand. He says, I'm going to fax this rec thing into the emergency. So when you get there, they already have all the details. And blah, blah, blah. He said, it's in my mind, by the way, I'm thinking this will be a longer wait than usual because of the pandemic. And he explains to me, actually, it's the opposite. And I thought, oh, interesting. Like we get a pandemic and the emergency rooms get quiet. So I get there and I realize that's 100% true. This is the quickest I've ever got like an X-ray. I've had a few sports injuries through my time, and this was the fastest, route through St. Joe's. I was at St. Joe's Health Center, and where I was born, and it was really fast. There was not many people there. I got an X-ray pretty quickly. The doctor wanted a CT scan because of the because my helmet split. He said if it's enough impact to split a helmet, you need a CT scan. So I'm like, yeah, let's go check that out too. So, and I got a tetanus shot because of the scraping, and it had been a while. So good news first. The good news is the CT scan came back normal. As normal, it means that's the good news, to be honest, because don't mess with the brain. By the way, if anyone listening ever bikes without a helmet, because not yesterday, day before yesterday was a beautiful day, and I was walking with the family, and I think I saw several adults biking the waterfront trail with no helmet. Honestly, I'm a safe biker, and it was, it wasn't icy conditions or anything. And I had a very hard spill on concrete because of the darn girl and her dog. And I'm just here to say, I know the helmet saved me yesterday. I never ride without a helmet. I need a new helmet. Luckily, I have a lot of time to get it, but more on that in a moment. So CT scan is normal. The X-ray came back with, I can't remember the medical jargon, but the layman's term is broken wrist. But there's a bunch of breaks in here. I got this is called a temporary cast. The emergency doctor puts it on. It's plaster, and it's very heavy and bulky, and I can't type. But tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'm going to get in the queue at St. Joe's again, and I'm going to get a fiberglass cast. So that one, I'm hoping that one lets me type easier because I have work to do. I got to do things. So 6 weeks of a cast means I will not be on my bike in April. Now, what that means, which means nothing to anybody except me and my stupid brain, which is normal. My streak of 500 kilometers cycling every calendar month is ending in April 2020. So, no biggie. What can you do? So I'm going to cast for 6 weeks. I get the new cast tomorrow morning. A few quick notes on visiting a hospital during a pandemic. You don't want to do it. Sometimes you have to do it. And I will say, the whole time I felt safe. Like I never came close to any other patient. I decided going in, I wasn't going to touch anything. And I didn't. I never touched anything. I decided going in, I was not going to touch my face. And I never touched my face once. I used the sanitizer that's everywhere. I used it like every 8 minutes. I think I used up the whole supply. So the doctors aren't wearing a mask when they talk to me. I felt very comfortable and safe. I was as careful as I can be. I'll be the same tomorrow morning when I go back to get the real cast. It all sucks, but it happened. Thank you for your concerns on Twitter when I shared the picture, because it looked bad and then it was broken. And yep, I got 6 weeks in a cast. What else can I share about this whole thing except if you do need emergency, this is the time. And it's the time and not the time. You don't want to go to a hospital because somebody might have gone into that building that had COVID-19. Because, by the way, the reason they tell me the reason the hospitals are empty, emergency rooms are quiet right now is for three pretty big reasons. One is, if you think you have COVID-19, you're not going there. You're going to a COVID-19 testing center because we have a bunch of these in the province. So they're all being routed there. So they're not coming to St. Joe's to get a COVID-19 test. Secondly is activity across the board is way down. Like, we're at a point now, I got comments on the Toronto Mic open mic there about like, I deserve this broken arm because I was biking when I should be staying at home. Now, I'm going to be very honest. I'm a compliant, obedient Canadian. The messaging on this has been extremely ambiguous. Like, I listen to Dr. Davila and I listen to Dr. Tam, and I'm listening closely on instructions and I'm following instructions. And I'm being honest, I've yet to get the instruction from one of those sources to say, you can no longer go for walks with the family and you can no longer ride your bike. I've yet to get that instruction. So if I get that instruction, I would cease that activity. So people tell me I'm not supposed to be on my bike. It's completely ambiguous. I'm sorry. We need to be clear with that messaging because there's still a lot of people on bikes and a lot of people walking. So that's an aside. Be clear with that message. If you don't want us on a bike or walking in Toronto, you need to be explicit. Okay? Just throwing it out there. Although I won't be on a bike for a long time. So this took care of that. So so there's activity across the board is down. You know, people aren't going to bars and getting hammered and then breaking a bone, and people aren't they're not playing in their softball league or their hockey league. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why injuries are down right now across the board in this city. And finally, because everyone's avoiding the hospital like the plague, and everybody has that thought like I did, which is I'm not going to St. Joe's during a pandemic, no chance. People are not going in with anything unless it's absolutely essential. They see a doctor. So it's got to be something like I broke my wrist. It's that kind of thing that gets you into a hospital right now. So for those three reasons, emergency room was super light, and I was super fast through the process. You know, wasn't gone too long. I think the whole thing was like, I don't know, the whole experience from like A to Z is probably 3 hours. So it was fine. And again, it's shitty because I can't lift right now. It sucks right now, but I'm hoping things improve with the fiberglass cast, which I get tomorrow morning. Like, I'm hoping it gives me a bit more of my ability to do things and type particularly. It turns out I need to type a lot for my livelihood. So that's really important to me. And in terms of cycling, the bike got me home. Like, there was no damage to the bike that prevented me from actually riding home. I did ride home with a broken wrist because what was my option? I felt like I just toughed it out and did it. I have a prescription for morphine, which I don't plan to actually get. So apparently the pain can be intense and morphine will help you. And I'm going to try to do this on Advil, not because I'm a brave guy, but just because I don't want to mess with morphine. I might like it too much. Gonna get a new helmet, but I got 6 weeks to do it because I'm not on my bike for 6 weeks. And otherwise, keep this short, try to wrap this up, but I feel fine. Like, my head doesn't hurt. My mom is really worried about my head. Okay. You know, first Kenny Rogers dies and then her son gets a head injury, but I guess I need to be clear on this. And I was trying to be clear with her. I had a CT scan yesterday and it came back normal. I actually don't have a headache, not at all. And my head never hurt. It banged off the concrete twice, destroyed the helmet, and the only pain I felt was my left thigh, my left foot, which they're just bruises, and then the wrist. So thank you for your concern. I'm going to be fine. I'm looking forward to dropping an episode with Jim Van Horn this afternoon. I'm going to miss biking, but c'est la vie. We're in a shutdown anyway. This is the universe telling me maybe to truly shut it down because I'm going to spend 6 weeks gaining lots of weight. So next time I go live on a webcam in 6 weeks, maybe I'll be north of 200. We'll see. Peace and love to you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and wash your hands. And subscribe to Toronto Mic.